Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to video here. I'm Liz, your host here at Crimes Untold, and today I'm doing something different. I'm kicking it back to original Crimes Untold. Yeah, where I'm going to feature some art today. If you also follow me on my lifestyle mom cleaning channel, you're also going to see this video, but you're seeing it first here on this channel. So over on my other channel, I have a voiceover talking about, life. And this one, I'm featuring it during me talking about true crime, the rest of my true crime recap for 2024. So, yeah, let's get into today's true crime recap of 2024, shall we? So, like I prefaced in my first part of this video, I do want to say that everything that I talk about, everything that I say in my videos, that is my personal opinion. You can have your own opinions, that's completely fine. This is my opinion. This is how I feel about these crimes. Now let's get into it, right? So this first one I'm going to be talking about, I have a lot of thoughts about this one, and I know a lot of other people do. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the Delphi murder case. Yes, Richard Allen was found guilty and he was sentenced to 130 years in prison. So, Richard Allen, who is stand accused of killing Abby and Libby, in which he was deemed guilty in a court of law. So, leading up to this case or up to this trial, you have to presume somebody innocent until proven guilty, which he was proved guilty, although I don't understand why. So, I discussed this in a video that I previously uploaded. I discussed some things about this, not a lot. So the judge in this case also ruled specific things following this case. Ruled that the autopsy photos, the crime scene photos, and any mental health reports or medical reports of the victims to be sealed. So this motion was filed on Friday, December 27th, and this would seal the evidence that was presented during the trial for the Delphi murders. And the judge agreed to this because they don't want the families to be re-traumatized if this came out. In this motion as well, it talked about how the defense team was negligent when it came to releasing some of the evidence in a leak, and that it harmed the families of Abby Williams and Libby German's family. It hurt them. So this motion was to seal anything from coming out, and they don't want anybody traumatized by this because it's already a very horrific case. Adding the leak of some of these things onto it, it just makes it even worse. It hurts them tenfold. Here's the weird thing about these motions that have been filed, though. The defense filed a motion to preserve any documentation in regards to the jurors. This was granted, but what do you think would be denied, right? A motion to preserve any evidence for retesting purposes. That was denied. I don't understand this whatsoever. It actually infuriates me. So let's just say this, for example. The hair found in Libby's hand actually belonged to her older sister, Kelsey German, not Richard Allen. So there's literally no forensic evidence that ties him to the scene except for a bullet casing that matched his firearm. That's the only thing that ties him to the scene. I have doubts about this case. I've had doubts about this case since they first became prominent and when they first announced that Richard Allen was the suspect in question, because the only other evidence other than this bullet casing that ties him to the scene is his confessions that he made, which could have been coercive. Again, I'm stating this is my opinion. Not everybody's going to agree to this. Richard Allen is also in the midst of starting his appeals process, and the state defender's office is looking to assign 2 additional attorneys to his case. So his defense team already has been open about appealing his 130-year sentence and his guilty conviction of these murders that transpired in 2017. But also, let's dissect his charges because not a lot of people understand these. So he was found guilty of 2 counts of felony murder, 1 of Abigail Williams and 1 of Liberty German, which are 2 victims in question. The secondary charges with these are committing murder while attempting a kidnapping. This gives them a mitigating circumstance to go after the death penalty if he was found guilty of first-degree murder. But with felony murder, it means that this charge is for a dangerous felony, and the defendant, Richard Allen, in this case, was charged with the act even if there was no intention of actually committing murder or having an act of reckless intent. That's why they went after felony murder and not a first-degree murder. So with this charge, there needs to be a subsidiary charge or cause of death. In this case, he was intending to kidnap the girls, hence why there's 4 charges and not 2. So the way they justify the charges in each state is intriguing as well. Each state has its own way of determining whether they want to use charges for different types of crimes. There also has to be extenuating circumstances or mitigating circumstances, whether or not they charge them for certain things. I am quite intrigued on how or what will come of his appeals, because I don't know if it's just a me thing, but I don't understand how they've got a guilty conviction with just his, what was it, internet searches, his multiple confessions, the bullet casing that ties him to the scene, which was found in the area but could have just proved that he dropped it or he was shooting his gun in that area. Yeah, and he doesn't look like any of the sketches that they have, which also kind of blows my mind as well. What are your thoughts? Leave it in a comment down below. All right, so the next one is the big one. We're talking about Brian Thompson. So, Brian Thompson was the CEO of United Healthcare. He was killed on December 4th outside of the Midtown Manhattan Hotel. He was murdered, apparently, by Luigi Mangione, who actually is in the same jail as P. Diddy, which I found very funny when I saw that, because that was a headline that was released. So Luigi Mangione is currently facing state and federal charges. This shows that he is actually eligible for the death penalty because it is a federal case. So Luigi Mangione currently has 15 charges against him. He was charged with first-degree murder, charged with 2 second-degree charges of murder, with one of those counts with the supplemental of killing Thompson as an act of terrorism. Typically speaking, in the state of New York City, they save the charge of first-degree murder for those who kill an officer of the law. But in this case, because it is a federal crime and they are going after a terrorism charge because of it being federal, well, that makes it federal as the terrorism charge. They're more than likely going to go after the death penalty. This is along the lines of Mr. Tsarnaev, the one that did the Boston Marathon bombings, which was also very tragic. So, with that being said, Luigi Mangione was reported missing by his mother in San Francisco, and reported him missing to the San Francisco Police Department back on November 18th. This information was then relayed to New York City's task force in regards to the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. It is believed that at first he wanted to use a bomb due to the manifesto notebook that was found with him when he was arrested at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. It was ultimately decided that he would use a firearm so that more lives were in danger. He originally wanted to use a bomb, and the bomb would kill more in the area. So what he did was he 3D printed a ghost gun, which matched the 9mm shell casings that were found around the body or around the scene from the shooting. This ghost gun is a 3D printed rendering of a Glock, and it carried a Glock magazine that was full with 9mm metal jacket rounds, and it was also equipped with a 3D printed silencer as well. This man was pretty smart with how he used this, because if you 3D print a gun, there is no serial number, so more than likely it is untraceable. It is said that his fingerprints were also found on a phone near the crime scene, a water bottle, and a protein bar that was found near the body of Brian Thompson and where the shooting took place. At this moment, the motive tentatively is that he apparently suffered from a back injury on the 4th of July of 2023, and that the animosity he felt for United Healthcare was due to how the health insurance corporate America is corrupt. I mean, he's right about it, but it's not something to commit a shooting for. So this crime is definitely something that is up for speculation because not everybody is going to agree on what potentially is going to happen as a outcome of this. This can go one of both ways. This crime can also bring out everyone when it comes to their thoughts and opinions about healthcare and how it is has wronged people. I'm just simply putting it out there. For me, I think that healthcare is morally corrupt. I have seen the ins and outs of it. I have worked in healthcare. I work in, yeah, I don't agree with some of the things that insurance and healthcare and what they allow now because the bedside manner is absolutely horrific. They don't treat people correctly unless you're in specific units, and they just they don't update you at all. You're supposed to have a nurse to come in and update you, and your doctor is supposed to see you. But why are we being charged so much money to see a doctor for 5 minutes when they charge you for an hour and it's like $1,000 charge? I don't understand that. That should be there needs to be an entirely new like healthcare reform. I feel the same way about police. Law enforcement needs a full reform, healthcare needs a full reform, the whole shebang. I could get more into it, but I'm not going to get heated about it because it's not worth it. Another big happening was the Madison's Christian school shooting. So the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin was changed forever on December 16th when 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, aka Samantha Rupnow, opened fire in the school and took her own life subsequently. This school is smaller in which it is a K through 12 and it holds approximately 420 students. And it was reported that it was actually a second grader that called 911 to report the shooting, not an administrator, not a teacher. This shooting left 2 deceased, which was a teacher and a student, and injured 6 others. 2 of those have life-threatening conditions still or are not in like an ICU, if you will. They're still in critical condition, but they are being taken care of. And the other that lost their life was Samantha Rupnow. She died via self-sustaining injuries. The motive for this seems to be a link between a mix of bullying, a manifesto letter, and a certain online presence that the shooter has. This is a culmination of speculation, but everything is open to interpretation at this point. I did talk about this in a previous video for a true crime recap, where she is connected to another person in California. I, if I'm remembering correctly, it was in San Diego, where they planned to do another act of violence together at one point. So Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt were sentenced on February 20th of 2024 to 4 completely separate sentences that are 1 to 15 years, which will run consecutively. This means they can't serve more than 30 years due to Utah's laws. If you run sentences consecutively, they cannot go over 30 years. So since April of 2024, Kevin Franke, which is Ruby Franke's soon-to-be ex-husband or her estranged husband, he's been fighting for custody of his children, and he's actually gone on to sue Jody Hildebrandt for infliction of emotional distress for his children and negligence when it came to the care of his children. So if you don't know who Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt are, Ruby Franke is a disowned mommy blogger here on YouTube who ran the channel 8 Passengers. Her husband, Kevin Franke, and their children were filmed in daily vlogs, lifestyle vlogs, and Ruby Franke's parenting was definitely up for it. Yeah, it was questionable to say the least. Her parenting style is very strange, I don't even know what to dub it as. It's something not normal. She was very open about disciplining her children, and yeah, I saw some of the videos. Yeah, not a fan. But anywho, that's besides the point. It's She's in jail. She's serving her sentence. There was also a video that YouTuber Headlines just came out with. If you don't watch them, I love her. I love her channel because it goes into a lot of the tea with behind the scenes for YouTubers. So Ruby Frankie's daughter just got engaged. She's gonna miss her daughter's wedding. Her daughter actually talked at, I think it's her daughter Sherry. Yeah, her daughter Sherry talked during, it was either sentencing or it was a regular court case when it came to this, uh, no, sentencing, and about how she felt. And there's a lot of things when it comes to recording your children. I, for one, am very hesitant when it comes to posting my kids. They would love to be on YouTube. They like they like watching kid YouTubers, but it's not safe for my children. I would rather them wait until they're older or in their teen years to do this. I waited a long time to do this. I wanted to start when my oldest was a baby and when I was pregnant, actually, but I didn't have the tech to do it. And it wasn't time. It wasn't the right time for me to do this. And a lot of parents that do family vlogging, they don't know the consequences until you see that in front of you. And Ruby Frankie definitely saw the consequences full-fledged when she was arrested for child abuse. So the last big thing of the year is JonBenet Ramsey. So JonBenet Ramsey, her case has, we just passed its anniversary. If you don't know who JonBenet Ramsey is, she was a child pageant star who was found deceased in her parents' home in Boulder, Colorado. She was missing. There was a ransom note for a specific amount of money. I have talked about this before. I did it during my crime vlogmas that I did last year. I put it up on Christmas. I believe it was a two-part video. And her father is fighting to have testing done in the evidence that was found at the scene to figure out who killed JonBenet. He wants answers. His family wants answers. I'm sure all of his siblings, his older siblings, and her brother Burke want to know exactly who killed her. Her mom, we all know she passed away, and she passed away years ago. So she's up there with JonBenet now. If you don't believe in that, that's your own prerogative. I believe that she's up there with her daughter, so she's reunited with her, but her father, John, is looking for resolve when it comes to his daughter's case. He wants to know what happened, and he's been fighting this for years. I talked about it, I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the year too, where he's been appealing what the police department has been telling him, the Boulder Police Department, and he's going at a state level, and I'm pretty sure he's going to end up going at a federal level when it comes to testing for his daughter's crimes. He wants to use the same genetic forensics that they used for the Golden State Killer, which is similar. I'm pretty sure they use the same testing as Othram. Othram is a genetic testing service in Woodland, Texas, that does genome sequencing and can figure out exactly who a person is by building a tree, finding um, basically it's genetic forensics. If you don't have like 23andMe or Ancestry, you upload your DNA and you can then find potential family members. That's what they're doing, is they're trying to find potential family members that match to these people or match to these DNA sequencing that they are then building and going from there. That way they can identify them. And that's what John Ramsey wants done in the case when it comes to his daughter. So that, my friends, is going to wrap up my part 2 of my true crime recap of 2024. I hope you guys learned something from these 2 parts, and there's already been a lot of chaos that has started in 2025. So look forward to some new videos, and I'll see you in the next one.